Well, it can be a surprise when you go fishing on the Columbia River, and for one commercial fisherman, it was a rare find. He caught a Chinese mitten crab, which is prohibited in Oregon.
Yeah, Environment Northwest reporter Joe Rainier is here to explain kind of how devastating these mitten crabs are.
Yeah, they can do a number on the ecosystem throughout parts of the Columbia River. Well, Tim and Stephanie, this crab has never been seen in the Pacific Northwest, but in the late 90s, it caused damage in and around San Francisco and all the way up into Sacramento. How they got into the bay is still a mystery nearly 30 years later. Now the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife are trying to figure out how it ended up in the Columbia River.
The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife have a mystery on their hands.
This is it.
That mystery is now in this freezer.
So the Chinese mitten crab's the first time it's been seen in the Pacific Northwest. So it's kind of big news in that regards because it is quite an invasive species.
A commercial fisherman caught this male Chinese mitten crab in the Columbia River last month.
This was caught east of Tongue Point in a side channel known as the South Channel, so on the Oregon side of the river.
Who was fishing in Cathlamet Bay, 20 miles upstream from the mouth of the Columbia River.
It's actually caught in a commercial gill net during one of their seasons they have in these select area sites that are off channel for salmon.
The fisherman, knowing it wasn't supposed to be there,
It's frozen, so it's hard to tell, but you can see the hairy parts on the claws, and that's where it gets its name.
called and turned it into the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife.
The biologist that works with the salmon fishery, and then they immediately sent me a text with a picture and said, "Is this bad?" And I said, "Yes, bring it to the office immediately."
This is not your typical crab.
They can stay out of water for a lot longer than most crab can. But I think the most amazing ability is the fact that their life history is so unique, is that they can go from freshwater to saltwater and then back into freshwater.
So what's the concern about this invasive crab?
They're going to be eating larger prey as they're adults. And we have a lot of endangered species, listed fish and other animals in our lower Columbia, and even up higher into the freshwater end of things. And yeah, it's a little bit of a concern.
They'll also go after seaweed and grasses that are so important to native species. As for how this crab got out here,
For Oregon or Washington, this is the first confirmed sighting of a Chinese mitten crab.
that's what Hunter and his team are trying to figure out.
Now, if you do happen to catch one of these Chinese mitten crabs, do not keep it. Report it to the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. So far, the one that was caught last month is the only one that they know of so far. They're just hoping there's not any more out there in the Columbia.
Yeah.
Tim and Stephanie, back to you.
Definitely. All right, Joe. Thank you so much.